In a time when the descendants of Africa in this country struggle to find leadership and security in this present-day American society, not far removed from the tragedies of losing their organically grown messengers to power, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Huey P. Newton, Kwame Ture. If these leaders are genuinely mourned for their outstanding performance in the defense and the preservation of so-called black people's human rights, then let us never forget there is still one among us.
This country works off the military-industrial complex, which means that it's profitable to wage war.
The one I speak of is none other than Jamil Al-Amin, as he is known today, formerly known as H-Rap Brown.
Why? Because, you see, the system mandates the action of the individual. The individual does not determine how this country will function. This country works off the military-industrial complex, which means that it's profitable to wage war.
Jamil Al-Amin is still behind bars, convicted of murder charges, even though his case was riddled with several inconsistencies and many gaping holes. Al-Amin said in a statement that he is a victim of a government conspiracy. When one analyzes the many contradictions, one realizes that his case reeks with the smell of COINTELPRO operations, which were and still are designed to malign, discredit, and criminalize so-called black leadership. In the early 1960s, Kwame Ture, formerly Stokely Carmichael, and Jamil Al-Amin, formerly H-Rap Brown, formed the Black Panthers of Alabama in order to provide armed security for the descendants of Africa in the South. This protection was necessary because of the racist so-called whites, who did all they could to prevent so-called blacks from attempting to register to vote, although it was their constitutional right to do so. Kwame Ture coined the phrase Black Power during the Meredith March in Mississippi, 1966, and in 1967 he became the Prime Minister of the Black Panther Party for self-defense. H-Rap Brown became the Minister of Justice of the Black Panther Party in 1968. As a result of the merger between the two organizations, the political ideology of Malcolm X was introduced into the Black Panther Party, and H-Rap Brown was introduced to the youth. He was convicted even though many questions remain unanswered. Although he had yet to be identified as the shooter, the manhunt to capture Al-Amin began the same day of the shooting. Also, the shooter was reported to have been shot by one of the officers. Officers even followed a trail of blood from the scene. However, when Al-Amin was captured, he had no gunshot wounds, and he was not bleeding. Officers explained this away by saying there may have been another shooter, but there is no ongoing case to catch such a shooter. Again, the man who was described by the surviving officer was 5'8" inches tall with gray eyes. Jamil Al-Amin is 6 feet, 5 inches tall. Perhaps most disturbing is that the rifle used to shoot the police officers was conveniently found in the same woods as Al-Amin was found 4 days later. Why would he keep the weapon that would prove he killed a police officer and leave it in the same area he was hiding? Al-Amin himself has stated that the whole ordeal is part of a government conspiracy against him. Al-Amin has been harassed in the past. According to Al-Talib Muslim News magazine at UCLA, they reported on August 17, 1995, Imam Jamil Al-Amin was arrested in connection with the July shooting of a man in Atlanta. The victim initially pointed the finger to Imam Jamil as the assailant. Later in the news conference, The young man announced that the police pressured him into making the identification. Al-Amin stated in an open letter that he is certain that time will vindicate him. He states, "What has happened to me is like having someone throw a large rock into a pond. It makes a big splash, sinks to the bottom and stirs up the mud, which clouds the water, leaving everyone dazed, confused, and uncertain about the state of affairs. Given time, the muddied waters of confusion will become clear." If you do not know of Jamil Al-Amin's contributions to the past and the present, please do a study of his life works. Free Jamil Al-Amin.
We ask Allah to confer upon us a look that is merciful, a knowledge that is useful, a heart that is enlightened, a tongue that is truthful, an intellect that is unerring, a countenance that is pleasing to Allah. And may Allah give us success in this life and the hereafter that He raises in the company of the righteous.